Hi, everybody. This is Neil Allen, the comic creator behind the series That's Well Multiversal Guardian. And I recently got a message from somebody that Shawn James was once again talking about me. And he was doing so in this video here titled at Muzi Sensei 3493, trying to clout chase on my name. He can have the comic book industry. I'm done. So I got this message about 2 weeks ago or so. I had holiday plans coming up, so I didn't seek to look into this at all, but I did get around to checking it out. And there are some pretty interesting comments here. Now, I would usually my plan was just to leave this alone, not get involved. This is basically something between Shawn James and a person called Coffee Comics. They've been having a dispute, and I'm not in collusion with Coffee Comics at all. I saw his video. In preparation to this, I saw his video talking about Shawn James. Uh, I don't really see eye to eye with Coffee Comics at all. Like, Coffee Comics was calling out Shawn James for giving up on his dream, that is Shawn James's dream of being a comic creator after 30 years of trying. I guess Coffee Comics is accusing or getting on Shawn James about that. I don't have a problem with Shawn James about that personally, so I don't really see eye to eye with Coffee Comics about that. I personally think Shawn James probably should get out of the comic game, and I hesitate to say that he was ever really in it. I mean, I know that he's technically yes, but see, Shawn James is a person. There are some things I'm going to get into here, and I would like to make this video because I think it'll be informative and helpful for other people. It's not for the sake of back and forth, but I am also going to be honest with my opinions. My opinion is Shawn James is a person without any talent. He cannot write and he cannot draw. And he does not have the money to pay anybody to do any of those things. So, given that, I honestly think Shawn James should get out of the comic game. And also, he doesn't have the drive to really learn, how to draw or how really to write. Now, Shawn James is going to tell you something like, oh, I have 30 years experience and I've read this screenplay book, but um, there are some things that I'll offer my opinions. Now, typically, I've left Shawn James's creative endeavors out of any commentary I've had on him. It's just basically been his views on social topics. He keeps trying to trying to criticize my creative endeavors, and I've just ignored that because I've seen that as beside the point, but I am going to talk about that, and I am going to give my opinions about him creatively, not to go just a back and forth, but I think it will be helpful. So, first of all, Shawn James lost all credibility with me when I review. He had a sample of his work up, and the thing was littered with typos and grammatical errors. So if you want to be taken seriously as a writer, first of all, you gotta take care of that. And if you don't have the confidence in English to do that, what I would really recommend is hiring an editor, which you can find all over the place. You can outsource that to someone on Fiverr to help you. But of course, he's going to say, I don't have the money for that. And it's reasons like that why I honestly think, not as any sort of malicious thing, but I think he should probably, yeah, you should get out of comics. Like, if you don't have the money and you don't have the drive to, you know, learn to get better, to grow your skill, then I actually do think that, you should probably get out of the whole thing. Um, Hold on one second. Okay, so I basically like left Shawn James his creative stuff out of the discussion, but I will talk about it right now. So Shawn James mentioned me, and my girlfriend is here too, so you can chime in if you want. She's just around. So Shawn James mentioned me in this video where he was like saying, um, where is Neil Allen's comic? Where is Neil Allen's like body of work? And things like that. Where is Neil Allen's product? So, I can just ignore that, but I will actually come, since there were like direct questions about me, I'll just come on and kind of non maliciously answer the questions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll probably have a visual up here to help you, but if you do want to support me and buy products that I've made, you can go to zatswan.com. There will be a link in the header that says store. And in that link, you could buy a number of my PDF digital comic books. So I'm a web comic creator. Um, I think when, somebody like a person like Shawn James is saying, like, where is my product? Where are my comics? Are you expecting to like find comics from me on the rack at a comic book shop? Because like that's not the sort of thing that I do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I will say too, for independent creators, it's a lot more expensive to try to independently publish.
Yeah.
And, sometimes people will start out with like a web comic, and then if there's enough want and support,
Right.
then they have their fans, they can donate or kind of pre purchase, and then they get a published version if that's what's
Yeah.
wanted.
So here's what Shawn James is gonna do. He's gonna like this is what he does actually. He says like I've published 80 books. I've published 80 like paperback small novels, like maybe 80-page novels and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks that other people should value like he values that. He value like that's something that he values and he's expecting that other people should value that too, right?
Right.
Now the thing about that is I don't I'm just going to be completely honest with you, my opinion. I've never valued that. Like, never once have I valued that because you can publish 80 books, but the thing is, those 80 books have to sell. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Then you can publish 80 books, but all 80 of them might not be good, too.
That
If
that's
you're just pumping out product, but it has no weight to it.
so let me tell you what's going on here. I've seen Shawn James's work. I've I've read samples of it here and there. It wasn't impressed, like I mentioned. Stuff was riddled with English grammatical errors. Like he claims to be a writer with 30 years experience, but he's got typos everywhere, a lot of grammatical errors. My opinion on it, actually, non-malicious, but I'm going to be honest with you. I was wondering, this is either a person who like struggled with basic middle school, high school level English, or perhaps had dyslexia,
Mm.
and I don't know, maybe he does, but I knew that there were some problems, and if you want to be taken seriously as a writer, you're either going to have to learn to take care of that or outsource to an editor who can help you with that.
Right.
Do
It
you know
would
what I mean?
behoove him to take the extra time to go through his work and do the editing rather than just keep pumping out product.
Right. Okay, so you're asking like where are these comic books? Where is the product? Well, my comic book Satsuma Multiversal Guardian is actually complete and finished. Now, is there a tangible form of that comic book, like an actual physical book? No, not yet. But let me tell you the reasons why. It's because I don't really value it if somebody just puts out 80 books. That's just what they do. They just put out 80 books. Um, I will value it if those books are successful. Now, a person like Shawn James is also like, I don't see Neil dropping his link and like trying to peddle his book like the way that I do for me.
But you do in every one of your videos.
Yeah, I know. I like say this is where you could read my comic and stuff. But the thing is, Shawn James is at the point now where he's begging people. He's up on his platform saying, I haven't had a sale all of November. Can somebody please buy my book? Now, I'm not going to get up there and do that because I think that's embarrassing and it doesn't make you look good.
It also, I will say, as a consumer, makes me really wonder why haven't you been having sales? Like, is it. I'm probably not going to go and buy that because he's begging, because it makes
Right.
me think, well, if your book's not selling, then it's probably not that good. Why would I
Yeah.
spend money on something that nobody else wants to buy?
So I'm painting this picture. I'm going to bring it all together. You don't see a tangible book from Neil Allen right now because I do not want to end up like a Shawn James. I do not want to just produce something and then nobody looks at it, nobody buys it, it just sits there.
Yeah.
That's how nobody reviews it. That's how Shawn James's books, from what I've seen, generally are. Now, I haven't examined each and every one of them, but the ones I've seen, hardly any reviews, if any at all. He's up here telling us he's having no sales, and he just keeps producing these books like a factory. He just keeps putting them out, not changing up his launch plan, his sales formula, anything like that. Yes, he's producing all this like kindling because that's like what it's this paper, you know what I mean? But it's not doing anything for him. I do not want to end up like that. And I can tell you why he ends up like that. You know, I could actually look at Shawn James's whole deal and tell you why it's like that. And it's because, first of all, he needs to stop just putting out these books like you're saying. Whatever you're doing, Shawn, it's not working. It makes you look even worse. It's like now I have 100 books and none of them sell. That doesn't look good, does
Yeah.
it?
No, not really.
Um,
Well, why don't you tell them what you're doing differently?
okay. So, what you need really is you need a launch plan. You don't just put out a book. You don't just you don't just put out a product and expect people to just pop out of nowhere and like buy your product, right? They have to see your product. You have to advertise your product. You also have to have part of that launch plan is you need an advertising budget. You
Right.
know, if you're going to sell on Amazon, which is where he sells a lot, you're going to need to set aside some money for an advertising budget so people can see your book. And, you know, it's good to think of it not necessarily as a cost, but rather an investment. Like your plan is to make that money back. Now, here's where he's going wrong. We, no launch plan really, no advertising budget, and he's just putting out product expecting people to pop out of nowhere and buy it. I'm not going to do that. Now here there are things that you need to have certain ducks in a row before you just put a product out there. You should take care of your copyright. You should get your ISBN numbers because you can get free ones, but it's not really a good idea to do that. And you do have to buy those if you want to sell like your product across multiple platforms, then it's good to buy your own. So some things that you're going to need to look into, um, buy your ISBN numbers, take care of your copyright. All of this costs, by the way. You might want to take care of your trademark as well. And that's going to cost because you're probably going to want like a lawyer to go to do that part for you. That could cost, you know, upwards to maybe 900 something dollars to do. Um, you're probably going to want to, if you're on Amazon, you're going to want to set aside some money for an advertising budget. You might want to budget like $1,000 even. You're probably going to want to get into another problem he's having is hardly anybody's reviewing his stuff. You're going to want to get into a program where you can trade reviews with people. And that doesn't mean like cheating per se. It's like, I will give your product a legit review if you give my product a legit review. There are certain like groups and things you can sign up for. Some of them will cost you know, that you can be a part of. Now, and that is to get your product reviewed. If your product like is on Amazon and you're not getting many reviews, you don't have a lot of social currency with people there, and that actually matters, like social proof. You know, like when people are laying down their money, they're going to be skeptical of spending their money on it. Plus, the algorithm on Amazon's not going to treat you as well, you know, if you're like not getting reviews. So this is what would happen to me if I just did things the Shawn James route. I wouldn't pay attention because this is what he's essentially doing. I wouldn't pay attention to any of that stuff. I would just put a book out there, not invest any type of advertising or anything into it, and it would just sit there. And if I was as bad as him, which I wouldn't be, I'd be up on YouTube complaining about nobody buying my book, you know? So where is like the Neil Allen product? The Neil Allen product is on its way. The actual creative part of it is all done. What I am doing now is lining up all my ducks so that I can actually succeed. And fortunately, you know, like the advertising budget money set aside, it's there. The copyright money is set aside, it's there. I just have to get around to pulling the trigger on it, which I'm kind of going at my own pace. Like right now, I've been pretty busy, you know, with holidays and things. So, and also behind the scenes, I'm still working on a lot of things creatively. Another thing, too, you need to worry about your social media presence. With Shawn James, in this arena, he's not that bad off. Like he does have some social media presence, yet somehow there's a disconnect. He's not utilizing it well enough to convert to sales. Like something there is wrong. Now, I can go down the list of things with him to like tell you all the things that are wrong. First of all, like the grammatical errors are bad. There are problems just with the product and there are problems with like the sales plan and just the business approach. And for a guy who says he's got a degree in business, it's surprising to me how, you know, clueless he is coming across when it comes to all of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like there are legit reasons. There are problems with the product and problems with like the sales plan. Like your launches don't seem like launches at all. Like his book launch is just, oh, I made a tweet that this book is coming out. Okay, you got to do a lot more than that. A book launch is like a big deal, right? And if you don't plan for things like that properly, you'll end up like Shawn James. Your book will sit there. And yeah, I can understand after doing that 80 times and getting the same bad result, you get frustrated. Um, I understand that. Now, I don't want to end up like that. That's why I don't just publish books willy-nilly. Like publishing a book is a big deal. You want to be properly prepared for it. You want to have all your ducks lined up. You want to be ready for success. And let me just tell you, whether you're doing a YouTube channel, whether you're doing a website, or whether you're doing anything, you're not likely to just come out of something out of the blue, completely out of the blue, and just have a bunch of people line up to support you. That usually doesn't work like that. Um, if you don't, if you're not prepared to, if you're not prepared to really succeed with that thing, then it's likely just going to sit there. You know what I mean? It's going to sit there and nobody's going to go to it. Nobody's going to buy it. And that's the situation Shawn James is in. So before I actually launch my book, you know, the social media platform, I want it to be there, you know, and all those other things as well, the copyright, the trademark, the ISBNs which are there, uh, you know, all these other things. So, you know, because I don't want to just put something out there and have it fail, like Shawn James has done numerous times. I've seen. Uh, does all of that make sense? Did I articulate that in a way that would that's understandable in your opinion? Okay. Well, anyway, that's what I wanted to like explain with this video. It's not just malicious back and forth. I think it's to help people understand why some books fail and some books don't. And I'm not, it's never a sure thing with anything, but you know, if you don't do anything to support a book, really, it's almost guaranteed to fail. And that's what you're seeing with Shawn James. The books just aren't getting properly supported, properly advertised. There seems to be no real plan there. There's no real legitimate like launch plan. It's just, oh, I put a new thing up on Amazon. Oh, surprise, nobody's seeing it. Oh, surprise, nobody's buying it or reviewing it or anything like that. You might get three reviews here or there, like he may, a couple here or there, but that's not enough for Amazon, you know, to really turn sales. And I think that, you know, you can have success with comics, you can have success with books. I disagree with Coffee Comics about criticizing Shawn James for wanting to step away from comics. I actually think that's a good decision for Shawn James if he's not going to put in the work to really learn. You know, you got to learn how to write properly, you got to learn English properly, you got to learn how to draw. If you can't learn how to draw, you need to pay people to do that. You got if you can't learn English properly, you got to pay people to help you edit. Like you could outsource that to Fiverr. If you want to make sales on Amazon, you got to have a good launch plan. A lot of times you have to invest money in that. And if you're not going to invest money in this, if you don't have the money to invest and um, you're just not motivated to learn this stuff well enough on your own, then I suggest you get out. Now, all of this, you can do this stuff without paying money, but what you're not going to pay with money, you're going to pay with time. And he doesn't have the motivation to do that. You are literally going to have to learn how to draw if you want to get into. For him, he's going to have to learn how to draw because he doesn't have the money to pay anybody to do that. That is going to cost a lot of money. Is he going to learn to draw well enough to be taken seriously? I, I don't believe he has that in them. He would rather just sit in a chair and, as Coffee Comics would say, sit in a chair and talk a lot of smack. Now he can do that. Like, is he going to? So he is. Yeah, he's got a problem. He doesn't have the money, and he's not willing to invest the time and the energy into learning what he can't or doesn't want to pay for. So yeah, I suggest, you know, that you're not it's not going to work for you. I suggest you do something else. Um but anyway, I hope that like sheds some light on like why I don't just publish books willy-nilly, because if I did, I'd end up like Shawn James. And Shawn James is not a model of where I want to be. So if you have any comments on this, feel free to leave them down below. Feel free to subscribe to the channel, and you can read my 126 pages. That's 126 full color pages of comic Zatswan Multiversal Guardian at my website, zatswan.com. I'll talk to all of you again very soon. Take care.